So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L and I'm back. And we back with another most amazing top 10 video, man. We're going to be checking out the top 10 bizarre creatures like this one staring at us in the face right now. Top 10 bizarre creatures not even scientists can explain. I'm telling you, bro, that ocean, it's moving up, man. It's, to me, probably one of the scariest things we got on the planet, bro. Just in general, the ocean is because of the unknown. So we're going to check this out. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Join the fam. Here we go.
With a large part of our natural world undiscovered and still unexplained, let's take a look at the top 10 bizarre creatures not even scientists can explain. From unknown deep sea creatures to something you might see every day, I'm your host Woody, and let's get into it. Number 10, the big fin squid. This deep sea creature will probably be in your nightmares tonight. Looking like a mix between spaghetti and the hair I pulled out of my shower drain this morning, this is the big fin squid. This creature was discovered only about 20 years ago and was first mainly noticed when a group of researchers had been diving to a shipwreck and seen the terrifying squid instead.
Now, that's crazy. I've heard about this squid before, but never heard that it was just recently found 20 years ago. Now, that's pretty interesting. You know what I mean? And then for them to find it the way they did, imagine exploring down there, which if you're going to be an explorer, you should expect to see the unexpected, right? You go into that thinking that, but still, when something like this runs up on you, bro, you're not prepared. You're not prepared for nothing like that to run up on you. When you do, bro, he had to throw his suit away. I know he did. It's
known to live miles beneath the water's surface and seems to just float around in the water. They can grow around 6 meters long, with most of that being in its tentacles and arms, which scientists really don't understand. As the squid appears to just drift around, they're not really sure how it actually uses its tentacles. One thing they do know, however, is that these spaghetti noodles have microscopic suckers on them, which scientists theorize they use to catch prey that bump into them, and they then drag their meal along the sea floor. Number 9, the immortal jellyfish. If any of you out there are planning on discovering how to live forever, these so-called immortal jellyfish may be your ticket to success. When the jellyfish eggs hatch, they grow to full size in just a few weeks, but they don't.
Just a few weeks, you're fully a full-grown jellyfish. Now, I know it's not that big, but a few weeks though? A few weeks. It take us 20-something years to reach our full height and potential of where we're going to, and we still can grow outwards, not upwards, but outwards. But a few weeks? That's insane.
When the jellyfish eggs hatch, they grow to full size in just a few weeks, but they don't grow very large. The average size of one of these creatures is only about the size of your pinky nail. So what makes these tiny little guys unique from all the other species of jellyfish out there? Whenever they become damaged or even begin to starve, they reverse back in the developmental process. If you think about the life cycle of a frog that you probably studied in school, they go backwards in this cycle, reverting back to their early stage of a polyp. They can then grow up again, genetically identical to the jellyfish that it used to be, or still is. They can also create clones of themselves, so while one may die, that same creature might still be floating around somewhere.
Now, I can see them trying to figure out how they can get humans to be like that. Imagine yourself getting to a point where your body's starting to break down, you know what I mean? Your health isn't the best. And everything, and every time you turn around, you have a sickness or you're in pain or something like that. And you can revert back to a kid. Like, a lot of us would just want to revert back to the kid to just not have to pay bills anymore. You know what I mean? Only reason you're not wanting to revert, depending on how your childhood went. If your childhood was bad, then you probably wouldn't want to. But think about that, what that could do, and you can start over. It's like a rejuvenation process. I know that if they know that and they know these, I bet they're studying these animals, these jellyfish and different things like that. I know they've been studying frogs forever. So I can foresee that them trying to experiment on people with that type of stuff in the future, if they're not already.
Scientists are desperately looking into this process and how they do it, as they want to look into the medical applications of the jellyfish's abilities. Number 8. The Yeti Crab. This fuzzy-looking crab was only recently discovered in the mid-2000s, and it's got scientists baffled. They were discovered just south of Easter Island and appear to thrive around hydrothermal vents underwater. It's believed that they eat mollusks around the vents and also appear to grow bacteria on their arms by holding them over top of it so that they can then eat the bacteria later. These animals are also pretty stuck where they are. They are virtually blind due to their deep-sea location and only seem to be able to live within very close proximity to the vents. If they wander even just a few meters away from the area, they're highly likely to die. Because of this, the Yeti crabs are typically seen hanging out in massive piles, sometimes up to 600 crabs per square meter, making pictures of these groups of crabs a little unsettling to look at. Not much is known about these guys yet, so it might be a while before we get some solid answers about just how they came to evolve to survive next to these hydrothermal vents. Number 7. Rangomorph. This next one probably isn't one you've ever heard about or seen when you've been walking around. That's because this is a fossil that scientists are working hard to try and understand. It's referred to as an Ediacaran and has had researchers confused for years. So here's what we do know about this prehistoric creature. They were largely immobile and could grow to sizes larger than humans. It's especially unique as it's one of the first large multicellular organisms that seem to exist before the first real animals ever evolved. A scan of the fossils allowed researchers to look into the physical makeup of this creature. It had strange internal structures, including its cone-shaped central trunk and the 6 fern-like fronds extending out from it to form a primitive kind of skeleton. There's still a lot to do to figure out just what exactly this creature was, and it's hard to figure out as it disappeared an estimated 540 million years ago. Number 6. Crows. I know what you're thinking. Crows? Yes. Crows. While they may seem like simple avians that you hear squawking away during the day, there's a lot to these birds that scientists don't really seem to understand. The main one being that these guys are mean. Some people know that crows are extremely smart and can be trained to do tasks, as well as having built-in problem-solving capabilities. Well, it looks like they're putting their brains to use.
I don't know why, but I always just I associate like death with the crows, man. Remember the movie The Crow with Brandon, was Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son? Ever since then, I've had that, like, you know what I mean? That view of a crow. Ever since that movie. I shouldn't have watched that movie. You know what I mean? Thinking that a crow can see what someone else is seeing. Like, you remember how the movie went. That's my viewpoint of a crow, man. And I see one and I just automatically think death.
Built-in problem-solving capabilities. Well, it looks like they are putting their brains to use. It was discovered in a recent study that crows hold grudges. They can remember the faces of people who captured them and will still be mad about it up to 2 years later.
That's insane. An animal holding a grudge. 2 years. That's a bird is holding a grudge for 2 years. Gonna remember your face. You hit him with your car, he's gonna remember your face. And he's been waiting on it for 2 years to show back up so he can poop all over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
Of people who captured them and will still be mad about it up to 2 years later. Another interesting fact about that is that they will even pass on these feelings to their friends and family members and encourage them to attack specific people as well. So I think it's in the best interest of all of us to not go out and antagonize any crows. Number 5. The platypus. If you grew up watching Phineas and Ferb, then you're probably familiar with the mammal known as a platypus. But you're probably not familiar with just how strange and unique these duck beavers actually are. When looking at pictures, you might notice that a platypus is not actually turquoise like Perry, but is actually just brown. Well, if you put a platypus under an ultraviolet light, it will actually grow a blue-green color. But unfortunately, a cool hat doesn't immediately appear as well. They are probably best known for being one of only a handful of mammals that lay eggs, and for having a powerful deadly venom on their back legs. One other thing that you may not have known about about these guys is that they give sharks a run for their money. And no, not in fighting each other, but I would pay to see that. Instead, it's in the way that they hunt. Even though they're mammals, they mostly hunt underwater, and they close off all their senses while they do so, only using their electrical signals and powers of electrosensitivity in order to find their prey. Number 4, the Argentina Ant. If you think it's cool that you have friends all across the globe thanks to the internet, just wait until you hear about the massive global colony of the Argentina Ant. They have managed to spread to every country except Antarctica and exist in massive underground colonies, even holding the record for largest known ant colony in the world, spanning across 6,000 kilometers. These invasive species have become a massive problem across the world as—
That's what you call a gang, right? Like, they classify others as gangs. That's a gang, man. Ants are a gang.
kilometers. These invasive species have become a massive problem across the world as they appear to have been waging wars with different species of ants, taking over their ecosystem.
Waging wars with other ants? Don't that sound like gang-like activity to y'all? Ants? Can't convince me otherwise.
As they appear to have been waging wars with different species of ants, taking over their ecosystems faster than you can say colonization. Due to the super colonies that these ants are capable of creating, they have strength in numbers, and their population just seems to be continuing to grow. When Argentine ants from the main large colonies were pitted against each other to see if they would fight, they actually seemed to recognize each other and engaged in a greeting. So let's just hope they're not planning on banding together and taking over Earth anytime soon. Number 3, cows. I know, everybody has seen a cow before, so what's so weird about it? Well, cows do in fact have one large mystery amongst them that scientists are struggling to figure out. If you've ever driven past a cow field and seen that all the cows seem to be facing in the same direction, there's a reason for that. It looks to some researchers that cows are magnetic. They seem to prefer to stand and graze in accordance to electromagnetic fields, always seeming to stand in a north or south direction. Researchers took satellite pictures of tons of cows in pastures and noticed the similarities in the way that they all seem to align themselves.
Oh snap! Now, hey man, listen. If you're out, you lost, you drive past a bunch of cows, you need to figure out which way is north. You look at them, it's that way. You know what I'm saying? That's dope. I never knew that. Always seen them. Now that you think back in your mind, you're like, yeah, they normally are. Other than them all lifting their heads up at somewhat the same time, they were all facing the same direction. That's insane. I never put that together though. Never would have put that together.
Cows in pastures and noticed the similarities in the way that they all seem to align themselves. They also ruled out any other reasons for the cows standing in such a way, such as avoiding the heat, wind, or other elements. I would also choose to argue that aliens put magnets in the cows in order to more easily lift them up into their UFOs. But hey, that's just my theory. Number 2, the Greenland Shark. There are tons of different species of sharks out there, and one of the apparently more abnormal and unique ones is the Greenland Shark. They're a fairly new find, only first being photographed in 1995, and as a result, we really don't know much about them and have had some trouble explaining some of their behaviors. They can be—
That shark look like a baby, like he don't have no teeth. Look at him. It looks like it likes a stone. Yeah, I don't like that. And we just found this in 95. Something weird about this. Yes, it resembles a shark, but it's something weird about this. Look at how the mouth looks.
Really don't know much about them and have had some trouble explaining some of their behaviors. They can become the size of a great white, able to grow more than 20 feet long and weigh more than 2,500 pounds.
Don't look aggressive though. But anything that size, you still can't rule it out. But I go back to that picture. He looks non-aggressive, non-threatening, right? And is that like a blowhole at the top? Y'all see that right here? Or is that maybe just an indention from an injury or something.
And have had some trouble explaining some of their behaviors. They can become the size of a great white, able to grow more than 20 feet long and weigh more than 2,500 pounds. They also seem to live a very long time, with the current estimate of their lifespan being around 400 years, and only seeming to reach maturity at the age of around 150. As they live in deep waters, they are often mostly blind and rely on their other senses, which is lucky for them as they can often fall victim to a parasite in their eyes.
Look at that. That hole at the top is bothering me. Are we sure? Yeah, this part here with the little gill, whatever, makes it look like a shark to me too. It's weird.
Rendering the organs pretty useless. Their skin is also poisonous and can only be eaten after properly preparing it for months, a process which includes burying the meat in the ground, though I'm not sure why you'd want to go to such long lengths for a bite of shark anyways. Number 1, the Axolotl. Probably one of the cutest creatures on this list, we're finishing it off with the Axolotl. Fans of Minecraft are probably familiar with this little guy. The creature has many strange abilities which have left many people baffled.
Whoa, look like two different things. This one right here look like I can take it home, have it in a little fish tank for a pet. This one here looks like once it grows up, it might take over the house.
One of the most notable is probably its ability to completely regenerate lost limbs, as well as its heart, lungs, spinal cord, and even parts of its brain. And the tissue is regrown without even leaving any scarring behind. Scientists are also especially interested in this creature because they are incredibly resistant to cancer, and they're hoping to find a way to harness the axolotl's natural defense to the disease. They are only able to be found in Mexico, and despite having no major predators, are incredibly endangered, mostly having issues with other creatures eating up their resources. And the reason these guys are so cute is because they have a condition that allows them to keep most of their larval features, which causes them to look pretty similar to big tadpoles. Thank you guys for joining me. That was 10 bizarre creatures not even scientists can explain. If you had to choose one of these to keep as a pet, which would you pick? Let me know. I've been Woody, and
listen, man, for that last one, I can't even pronounce the word or say the word, so y'all have to go back and look to see how the name is. But the fact that they're using it to study to maybe possibly find a cure for cancer, I'm all for that. All for that. As y'all know, that's what my mom would succumb to, cancer. So any type of way that we can progress forward and find a solution, a remedy, a cure, I'm with that. I support it 1,000,000% because I don't want nobody else to have to go through that and deal with that and continuously have to deal with that. You know what I mean? But my bad. I ain't mean to get so sentimental at the end, but it's what it put me in the mind of. You know what I'm saying? So this was the top 10 bizarre creatures not even scientists can explain. All right? So y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Leave a like. Share the video and stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.